Tonight was the final Raw of 2025, and they were live again from Orlando. Of course, last week for the holidays, all the tape shows. Raw was taped, SmackDown was taped, Dynamite was taped, everything was taped. So we were live again tonight for what was, on the whole, a pretty average episode of Raw, outside of the opening segment and the closing segment. They bookended the show with the two best segments of the night because, look, everything is building to next week. Next week is the big one. Next week is the first Raw of 2026. They're going to be here live in Brooklyn. That, of course, is going to be the World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Braun Breaker. Actually, there's about three. I believe it's three championship matches on next week's show. The men's world title, the women's intercontinental title, and the women's tag team titles are all being defended on next week's show. And there's rumors going around about what other things we might possibly see next week. So it really was all about building next week's show. But what do we get tonight? Well, in the main event, we had AJ Lee, as I call them, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, defending the World Tag Team titles against the Usos. It has been some time since we have seen Jimmy and Jay together as tag team champions. In fact, you would have to go all the way back to WrestleMania 2 years ago, when they lost those titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the main event on night one. That is how long it has been since the two of them have held tag team gold together. And there was some question about, well, what's going to happen here with Jay? Is Jay potentially going to go heel? Is there going to be some kind of miscommunication that's going to cost them the match? Is this going to lead to some kind of drama between the brothers? And in fact, there was none of that. What we got in the main event tonight was an excellent match. And the Usos now 9 times over are World Tag Team Champions. For the 9th time in their career, they have Tag Team Gold. It was an excellent match. And honestly, it just feels like the universe has corrected itself as far as the Usos being back together. It's been long enough. And there's a need right now for, a major team like theirs in that division, a division that could use a lot of help. They are where they need to be. And they are the tag team champions. And, as far as AJ Styles is concerned, we always knew that this was going to be a temporary pairing with him and Dragon Lee. And it opens him up now as he heads into what he has said will be his final year in the ring to pursue other challenges on his own. So everything about that main event I thought was great. It was the highlight of the show. The other highlight of the show came actually in the opening segment, which involves CM Punk and Braun Breaker. One last face-off before their World Heavyweight Championship match next week. We had a Women's World Championship triple threat match tonight. I was very worried about what they might do in this match because, of course, if you watched the show last week, you saw there was drama, as there always is, in the ranks of the Judgment Day with Liv and Raquel and Roxanne. And I was looking at that and going, that doesn't work very well for Raquel's chances in this match, which leaves Stephanie and Nikki. And Nikki Bella, of course, have been coming out and getting a lot of heat when she comes out to address the fans. Would they do a title change in that match, but not put the title on Raquel, but put the championship actually on Nikki? I legitimately thought there was a very good chance that we would see that tonight. And I was very happy that that was not the case. And in fact, Stephanie is still the champion. How they went about doing it, though, was kind of interesting. So we'll talk about that match as well. Not a whole lot else going on this show tonight. The one update that we did get, which is not a good update, was on the condition of Dominic Mysterio. Now, a couple weeks ago at the AAA show, he, of course, wrestled a tag team match. It was him and El Grande Americano against Rey Mysterio and Rey Fenix. Because Penta was out hurt, we did not get that Lucha Brothers reunion. And in the course of doing that match, Dom got hurt. His father gave him a DDT. He landed on his shoulder. It was very clear he was legitimately hurt. The only question was, how serious is it? And we still don't know the severity of it. We still don't know what the injury is exactly. We don't know if it was a shoulder separation. We don't know if it's something he's going to need surgery for. The only update we got tonight on commentary from Joe Tessitore is that Dom is on the shelf indefinitely. He is injured, and that is all that we know. And that's a problem, because Dom, of course, has been all over the place. He's been in WWE, on Raw every week. He's been in AAA. He's got 2 championships. So it's kind of a problem. if he has to go down for any length of time, and it sounds like he ain't going to be coming back anytime soon. You just hope he could avoid surgery, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be gone for a period of months. And now are we looking at a situation where he's out even beyond WrestleMania? We don't know. But the update that we did get from them tonight did not sound too good. So that'll be something to watch, because if he is out, then I don't know, we may be headed towards another tournament for that Intercontinental title. This is your final Raw on Netflix review here for the year of 2025. It is Monday night, December 29th. I am the Solomonster. Thank you very much for hanging out with me here one last time on a Monday night here in 2025. Do hit that subscribe button if you are new here. We are closing in rapidly on 90,000 subscribers. We're going to hit it hopefully next month at some point. We are less than 300 subs away. So certainly would love a subscribe if you are new here. Also hit that like button. 400 likes minimum is the goal for our Be the Booker segment later on. We have a bonus goal. Super chats are open, of course. I'll read all of your messages a little bit later on. You'll see them popping up on your screen. You guys know the drill. She knows the drill. Never fails to get me. Always gets me. We got a good one of those tonight, by the way, in the segment with the Kabuki Warriors. We got a good Kyrie scream from Asuka. Thank you, Barry. So yes, as you can tell, super chats are open. And just to remind all of you, the next time I'm live here on the channel will be Wednesday night. It's going to be a big one. 6th year in a row. We're doing our Make It Till Midnight countdown to 2026. It is our New Year's Eve stream. We always have fun here on these streams. Get all dressed up a little bit, and it happens to fall on a Wednesday this year. And there's actually some big matches on Wednesday, so we're going to kind of weave in and out of a Dynamite review and do all the usual shenanigans that we do. So if you are not otherwise indisposed, hopefully you will be able to join me. That'll be coming up on Wednesday night. And of course, later in the week, I didn't queue up the funeral march, but it is the beginning of the new 3-hour era of SmackDown. That is coming up this Friday. But before we get there, let's talk about this Raw show, which kicked off in the back with all the members of the Vision assembling. It's not quite the Avengers assembling, but all the members of the Vision, Austin Theory being the newest one, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul. And as I've said, it's nice to see Logan Paul as a regular now on the show. He's always been part-time. Now he's regular. He's on the show every single week now. So they were all backstage, and they were on their way out to the ring. And, of course, Heyman, as he usually does here in these segments, first one to speak. And he was serenaded by chants of CM Punk. So he said that Punk could have been in the Vision if he had listened to him, but he stupidly placated the audience instead. Heyman claimed that in 5 years, the fans would look back at all of the WrestleMania main eventers standing in the ring right now. Do you think that Austin Theory is going to be a WrestleMania main eventer in the next 5 years? Because I don't. Or Bronson Reed, for that matter. And I like Bronson Reed. Not going to happen. Although I will say that Braun Breaker will, of course. But I actually could see Logan Paul as a night one WrestleMania main eventer sometime in the next 5 years. Especially now if he's really committing to it full time. I could absolutely see him making that spot at some point. Austin Theory, I see Logan Paul doing it before I ever see Austin Theory doing it. So he then officially welcomed Theory into the Vision. Theory took the mic, said he's waited his entire life for this moment. And before he could get too deep into his thoughts here, out sauntered the world heavyweight champion CM Punk. Punk said he didn't come out here to listen to Theory. He came out here to talk to Braun Breaker. And Punk said, yeah, the Vision, you could attack me. You could jump me right now. You could kick me. You could punch me. You could spear me. You guys could do all these things to me. But then there wouldn't be a world title match on January 5th. So with that little safety net in place, Punk asked Breaker, send the Vision away. I'll come into the ring. It'll be just you and me. Send your boys out of the ring. And so he did. And the members of the Vision, they went outside. They were standing out in front of the announce desk. So they went nose to nose, did Punk and Breaker. And Breaker said he spoke first. And Breaker said that he's tired of people saying that he's the future. He's the future of WWE. He goes, I'm the now. Breaker said Punk thinks that he had everything handed to him. Said that he's lived under a microscope. Breaker noted that while Punk worked the indies early in his career, he shared the field with NFL star Lamar Jackson. So he said this to illustrate the point that you and I are not the same. He told Punk that he's willing to die on January 5th. I don't think Netflix would like that very much. I'm just saying. I think the Netflix executives are like, you know what, we could do without that. He says he knows Punk is willing to do the same, so he'll let him, and he'll become the World Heavyweight Champion. So then it was Punk's turn to respond. Said that Breaker's mistake was thinking that he knows what he thinks of him. Punk said he knows that Breaker is ready. There's just one problem, Braun. I'm not ready. So he took off the world title belt, which I have to say, every week he comes out and he's wearing that world championship, and it's like comically large around his waist. So he removes the belt and he lays it flat on the mat in between them. And he says, you know, it's really heavy. And he's not just talking about the physical weight of it. He's not ready to give up the title. He said somebody will beat him for it someday, but it will not be Braun Breaker. And then he told Breaker that he would see him on January 5th. So this was, and again, you can't, you know, when you kind of recap something like this, you kind of have to visualize it in your head, but especially Breaker got very animated, especially in the more he spoke and the deeper he got into this idea that, you know, you think you know me, and, you know, everybody thinks because of my name, my family lineage, I had everything handed to me. He was getting all fired up. So we got some good intensity from him. Punk, you know, again, Punk in this environment on the mic, when he has somebody to joust off of, is always very good. So what we got here was a great little verbal joust between the two of them. A little bit of final hype here, a great final hype before the big world championship match next week. So this is exactly what it needed to be. And so now the question is, what happens in Brooklyn next week? It feels to me like we're not getting a title change here. Again, we're getting another WWE championship match between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes. Not this week, but next week. They're going to be in Berlin, Germany. So next week, we are getting two big world championship matches, one on Monday and one on Friday. And as I've been saying, of those two, if we were to only get one, and we may get none, but if we were to get one title change, I think it should be the one on SmackDown. I don't think Braun Breaker has to win the World Heavyweight title. I would prefer that he win the World Heavyweight title. I think he should win the World Heavyweight title, but it's not a killer if he doesn't, because the Royal Rumble is right around the corner. And if you were to make a list of the top 3 favorites, I'm sure that he would be on most people's lists as one of the favorites to win the Royal Rumble. They have talked him up so much as a future WrestleMania main eventer that, especially with Seth Rollins likely not being on the WrestleMania card, although he might sneak his way on there. But I doubt he's going to be in the main event unless he gets tacked onto an existing match, make it a triple threat. The likelihood of him headlining his first Mania, you know, which would be night 1, would be this year. Because they've talked Breaker up so much as this future WrestleMania main eventer. You're going to main event WrestleMania 5 or 10 times. It's probably going to happen this year for the first time. Whether he goes in as the champion or he goes in as the challenger, either way. So we'll find out next week, you know, what direction they want to take things in. But I don't know. To me, now that we're a week out, it feels to me like less and less of a likelihood of him actually winning the title next week. But again, I would love to see it. You know, they're trying to establish the Vision as this dominant heel group on this show. The way that he took out Seth Rollins, you know, he should have been the de facto leader anyway from that day on. And the way you solidify that is by putting the World Heavyweight Championship on him and making people like CM Punk chase after him for it. They may want to save that first title for a much bigger stage, like WrestleMania, because they really do see him as the future, right? Or one of the people that will lead the way into the future for this company. They may want to hold off until a big event like WrestleMania and do the title change there. Whatever they do next week, I just hope they have something good planned where they can keep things really interesting rolling into Rumble season. However they do this finish next week, especially if Braun doesn't win, there better be a damn good reason for him not to win, other than just Punk hitting a GTS, or even worse, if they do some kind of bullshit disqualification finish where Theory runs in and we get a cheap DQ. That would be the worst thing they could do. And then, of course, there were people who still believe that maybe Theory is kind of a mole on the inside of the Vision, and he's not really all that he claims to be. And maybe he's sort of a secret agent for Seth Rollins. And people get very creative with, these different ideas. I can't rule it out completely. Seems unlikely to me, especially because we're not going to see Seth back on TV for quite some time. But if he was some sort of secret agent here, then you would think he would not allow Braun Breaker to win the World Championship next week. I don't know. I don't see that being the case, though. Backstage, Raquel Rodriguez was interviewed by Jackie Redmond about her spot in the triple threat match tonight for the women's world title. She said that there would be no tricks and nothing would stand in the way of her becoming the women's world champion. Liv Morgan interrupted and said that she knew things had been strange lately, but she knew Raquel would become the new champion. And Raquel emphasized that, look, I got to do this on my own. I want to win this title on my own. So Roxanne Perez walked in and she wished Raquel good luck. And Raquel said, I wouldn't need any luck tonight. No luck is necessary. She could have used some of that luck, though, because this did lead into the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Stephanie Vaquer defending her title against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. So the bell rings. They immediately start arguing with Nikki is in there declaring, I'm a legend. I'm a legend. So Raquel took that opportunity to throw her down, and Stephanie tried to steal one with a roll-up. Joe Tessitore, this is the point in the show where Tessitore let us know on commentary that Dominic had a shoulder injury and that he was going to be out indefinitely. And that was the last that we heard anything about Dom for the rest of the show. It was just based on that very thin update that he gave us here on commentary. But then they also added that, JD McDonough is out as well. He had surgery recently, just for some nagging minor injuries. I don't think he's going to be out for too long, but, he's out right now. Dom's out. They just got Liv back. But they pointed out here that the Judgment Day could really use this win. So back in the ring, Nikki and Stephanie, they fell victim to Raquel's power. She was just overpowering both women. Nikki jumped off the top rope. Raquel caught her and just tossed her aside. She grabbed Stephanie and put her in a gory special on her back, trying to make her tap. Stephanie reversed it into a sunset pin, but Nikki broke it up. Hey, shout out to Anobi in the chat. He says, hello, Solo and chat. Hello, Anobi. How are you on this Monday evening? Hopefully better than me. So Stephanie tried to go up top. Nikki pulled her down and then swept Raquel's leg out from underneath her. Nikki locked on an STF on Raquel, but Raquel powered out into a leg lock. Stephanie flipped them both over and then delivered a double devil's kiss to both women. She then placed them in opposite corners. We had dueling meteoras. She hit a dragon screw on Nikki, and then she wrenched Raquel's knee with another one. So later on, Raquel set Stephanie up on the turnbuckle. Stephanie kicked her in the face and applied a rope-assisted armbar. Nikki broke it up. All three women climbed the ropes. Somehow Nikki slipped out. She got a double superplex on them both, and she scurried over to pin, Raquel, only got two. Scurried over to pin Stephanie, only got two. So Nikki went for an attitude adjustment on Stephanie, but Rodriguez interrupted it with a big boot. She tried a power bomb. Nikki, though, broke free and walked right into a modified Angel's Wings from Stephanie. And Raquel had to break up that pin attempt. So Raquel then lifted Nikki and Stephanie at the same time, and the crowd popped for this. lifted them up for a double, or what was going to be a double Tejana bomb, which is her finish. Stephanie slipped out of it. Raquel followed through with the move, though, to Nikki. So she drops Nikki with the Tejana bomb. Stephanie, though, using her big brain, throws Raquel out of the ring and steals the pin on Nikki to retain the title. So Nikki was already out. She was laid out by Raquel's finishing move. Stephanie took the pin. She gets the win, and she is still the women's world champion. Almost 20 minutes this went, although, unless you were watching on a VPN, of course, you only saw about 10 or 11 minutes of this with the commercials. But they did get almost 20 minutes here. That what actually aired was a lot less. Thank God. I had convinced myself that there was like a better than 75% chance that we were getting a title change here. And I don't mean Raquel Rodriguez winning the championship. Thankfully, that did not happen. So Stephanie will roll into the new year, still the women's world champion, although it's not all rainbows and roses here, because there's a lot of work to be done as far as setting up Stephanie for something, some sort of meaningful program heading into the new year, right? We're about to kick off Rumble season. That leads into WrestleMania. And so at WrestleMania, we could be looking at Stephanie, if she's still the champion. We could be looking at Stephanie defending against Rhea. We could be looking at Stephanie defending against Liv Morgan. It could be some sort of multi-woman situation like we had with Io and Rhea and Bianca earlier this year. But what I'm more interested in seeing is, what do they have for her heading into the Rumble? WrestleMania is in April. I don't give a shit about WrestleMania right now. I give a shit about what we're getting in January and what we're getting leading into the Royal Rumble, because they haven't done a whole hell of a lot with Stephanie over the last few months. Let's just be honest, okay? Her reign has been supremely uneventful. And this is what happens sometimes. They will put the championship on somebody, whether it's Stephanie, whether it's LA Knight when he won the US title, and they have no real plan to follow up with anything interesting. So 2, 3, 4 months in, you look at it and go, man, this reign has been boring, right? And of course, it reflects poorly on the talent, because you look at it and go, well, LA Knight's a boring United States champion. Well, is it that LA Knight was a boring United States champion, or is that really on them for not having something more meaningful and more interesting for him to do? Same thing with Stephanie. She's a supremely talented wrestler. But if we don't get to see her too often on the show, or you don't really have her in a hot feud with somebody, I don't see how that helps her. And then people start looking for the exit door, like, okay, who can they put the title on? This run has been a failure. You know, who could they transition the championship over to? So I'm ready for them to move beyond her and Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella has had a couple of bites at the apple now. And I think we could be done with this. And you could do whatever else you want to do with Nikki Bella, but get her out of this women's world title picture. Raquel, on the other hand, still has a claim to the championship and getting a rematch, because it was her move that won the match, right? Stephanie stole the pin. Otherwise, that title would have gone to her. So she still has a claim to it. You could argue Roxanne has a claim to it. And Liv Morgan has already put Stephanie on notice. So everything seems to revolve around the women of the Judgment Day, who are basically running that faction at this point, especially now with Dom out and JD out. So that's where I think we'll probably settle heading into Rumble season, right? It almost has to revolve around those women, because if not them, then who? And I'm okay with that as long as they just tell an interesting story with it. Stephanie could use it. Stephanie could use something right now. Now, backstage, Gunther was interviewed about his disrespectful behavior since tapping out John Cena like a bitch, but he was interrupted by R-Truth. And Truth called Gunther some bad names. He called him a piece of, and then he whispered the bad word in his ear. And he warned him that after retiring Goldberg and after retiring Cena, there would not be a third. And Gunther laughed and said, "See you in the ring." So we had an impromptu match made here for later in the show. We had the women's tag team champions, Asuka and Kairi Sane. And I enjoy these women very much. This segment, not so much. They came out to the ring for a promo. And Asuka said that last week she beat Rhea Ripley and she called the fans a bunch of stupid babies and she made a lot of just funny noises and random screams. Kairi said that Io Sky never should have left her. She's looking into the camera. She's got her own microphone. And she says that Io never should have left her. And before she could continue with her promo, Asuka yells at her. Kairi gets very scared. Asuka actually swipes the microphone away from her. She already had her own microphone. So now she's got two microphones. She's not going to allow Kairi to say anything else. And Asuka says next week, Io and Rhea pay for their disrespect because no one is ready for Kabuki Warriors. Because we are the tag team champions. So Rhea's music interrupts. And she walks out to the ring with Io at her side. All four women, they end up brawling outside the ring, right out in front of the announce desk. Ripley took out Asuka. Kairi, though, shoved Io back first. She's been nursing and selling a back injury over the last several weeks. Ever since she took that insane elbow protecting Rhea, she took that elbow to the spine. So she gets backed up into the edge of the announce desk. So when Rhea goes over to check on her, Asuka jumps her. And the champion set her up for the assisted insane elbow. Io breaks it up, though, and they end up chasing the champions off. The promo portion of this was terrible. And the angle itself, honestly, wasn't much better. Very half-hearted stuff here. Like, hey, you know, we have some time to fill. The match is next week. We don't really know what else to do here. So we're just going to do the bare minimum. And really, I mean, let's be honest. They wanted to give people a Rhea Ripley entrance. They wanted to give them a Rhea entrance. They wanted to see Rhea, right? And probably Io. So we'll do something that gets them out in front of the live crowd. But again, what they did here really wasn't anything special. They actually aired a video promo later on in the show with Rhea and Io. That was fine. It was actually very good. And they could have gotten away just doing that, honestly. We did not need this segment, but for the fact that they wanted to give the people in the building a Rhea Ripley and Io Sky entrance. So I guess they got what they wanted. I'm still half expecting them to turn this match next week into a four-way, though. It doesn't look like they're going to. But we still have SmackDown on Friday, so you never know. I mean, it's possible. But remember, Nia Jax and Lash Legend, they just flat out pinned the champions on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. And then you got Charlotte and Alexa, and they're, you know, going after the title still. It looks like they'll probably save those for another time. But it just felt like maybe this was building to a four-way instead of just the, you know, 2-on-2 next week. But they should be due for a shot anyway. Because like I said, Nia and Lash pinned Asuka and Kairi. So they should be getting their shot sometime in the next few weeks. But again, you've got them. You've got Charlotte and Alexa. You got Bayley and Lyra. They're angling for a tag team match. You got the Judgment Day. They want to, like Liv and Roxanne specifically, they want to go after the women's tag team titles. So there's a lot of competition right now where that is concerned. The only negative of that, and it's nice to finally have some real competition in the women's tag team scene. The downside of that, though, you see it really on SmackDown. And you ask, like, where is everybody for Jade to work with? And the answer is they're all fighting over the fucking tag team titles. That's where they are. That's part of the reason why things are just so dreadful right now when it comes to the WWE Women's Championship on Friday nights. When they took the titles off Charlotte and Alexa, I thought that was the perfect setup to doing something with Jade and Alexa, Jade and Charlotte. And, you know, Jade and Charlotte, they're going to get to that at some point, but instead they're still chasing to get the tag team belts back. And that's why we keep getting Jade and Michin and Jade and B-Fab. You know, at some point, I certainly hope Bianca's on her way back, but, you know, things have kind of gone silent on that front. I don't know what her status is. Tiffany Stratton, we should see her back on TV soon. I mean, look, they're doing Jade and Michin non-title on SmackDown this Friday. My thought was BFAB's going to go heel and is going to end up being one of these like baddies or lackeys for Jade. But maybe we get a return this Friday. You know, maybe someone like Tiffany shows back up and they run that match back again before they get to whatever Jade is going to be doing for WrestleMania season. Backstage, Rey Mysterio was warming up for his match later on with Austin Theory when CM Punk approached, his good friend. And Mysterio said, look, I know what you're here for. You're going to offer me a hand. You're going to offer some assistance for my match later. He goes, I'm covered, though, tonight. You don't have to worry about me. He said, Paul Heyman is not the only one who doles out favors. And Punk said, okay. And Punk left. Good morning, Cheza. Cheza says, good morning. Where do you live, Cheza? Where do you live that it is morning where you are? Are you in the UK? Gunther went one-on-one with R-Truth. Actually, it wasn't even so much R-Truth. It was more like Ron Killings here. We didn't get any kind of comedy geek shit from him tonight. He was all business. Before the match, and this may have been during the commercial break, but Gunther climbed up on the announce desk and he took off his jacket to reveal his new t-shirt, which is available on WWEshop.com. And it's just a picture of him from Saturday night's main event with John Cena trapped in the sleeper hold. And underneath this box graphic is the text that says, tap like a bee, ... So if you would like to walk around wearing that t-shirt, WWE Shop is where you can pick it up. Coming out, he got heat. He did not get the kind of like molten heat that you would think he would get, or some people I think have convinced themselves that Gunther is just going to get everywhere he goes every single week. They're going to be booing him out of the building. He got heat, but it was pretty much the normal heat that any heel would be getting. I didn't get the sense. Now, I wasn't in the build. Maybe in the building it was different, but I didn't get the sense watching it that it was anything over the top. So Truth went right at Gunther, right at the bell. He peppered him with punches and kicks until Gunther chopped him. Truth tried to fight back. Gunther, though, threw a lariat, and then he's asking if Truth was going to give up, and he did the Cena "you can't see me" gesture. So that fired up Truth, and he hit a shoulder tackle, but it made no difference. Gunther powerbombed him. He had him beat, but he pulled him up at 2. And Gunther laid in some elbows, and then he put Truth in the sleeper, and Truth tapped out like a bitch. So a quick 3-minute squash, more or less, to give Gunther a win over Cena's buddy. You know, is AJ Styles next in line for Gunther, or do they have somebody else in mind, maybe? Are they going to hold off on Gunther and AJ for WrestleMania, which is still a few months away? We've already had 2 teases for it on TV. I don't think they do back-to-back teases the way they did in the last few weeks, unless that match is coming up a lot sooner. And also, who's to say that we don't get more than one match between them? But that's the only direction they've teased for him. Outside of Otis. Otis had some words for Gunther. And it's like, if the plan is for him to show up on TV each week and laugh and do the same thing every week and just wrestle people like R-Truth and wrestle someone like Otis, I mean, that'll work for a few weeks, but I wouldn't be doing this for more than a few weeks. It's one of those situations where you had heat coming out of that retirement match and you really need to make sure you don't squander it. So what are you going to do after this kind of shit plays itself out over these next few weeks? What is next for Gunther? January 5th is a big show next week. Next week would be a good week to really give us a sense of what's next. And I don't mean what's next like who's the next match the next Monday. Like, who's next? What's next for Gunther as we head into Royal Rumble season? You got to keep the heat flowing. And if they're just going to send him out there to do the same shtick every single week, and we're just going to get matches like this is going to wear thin very quickly. So I'm very curious, if it's not AJ, to find out who's next for him. Who are they going to put him with to at least tide him over until we get to whatever his WrestleMania program is going to be. Because, a few months ago, if you would have asked people, and maybe even now if you were to ask people, what do you envision Gunther doing at WrestleMania? They would be like, oh, you got to do Gunther and Brock. They're going to do Gunther and Brock Lesnar. And that's not what it feels like to me right now. And I don't think it's the right match to do right now. I don't. Not unless Gunther's winning. I wouldn't do that match at all unless Gunther's winning. Under no circumstances would I book Brock Lesnar and Gunther with any outcome other than Gunther winning. That right now doesn't feel like the WrestleMania match to me. Maybe SummerSlam. So I think we could probably put Brock on the side. I think we'll get it. I don't feel like that's going to be the Las Vegas match. So you look beyond him, AJ, okay, they've teased AJ, but like realistically, who else could you see him in the ring with, like at WrestleMania this year? I don't know. Maybe it's somebody that's not on the show right now that we're not thinking about. Backstage, the Usos were shown in their locker room. Jimmy was in high spirits. Jay was not. He looked like he was down in the dumps. And Jay said he feels like everywhere he turns, he's losing. See, he doesn't want to put his brother in a bad spot. He's in a bad spot right now, but what he doesn't want to do is put his brother in a bad spot. Ilya Dragunov. Now that is a match I could get behind. Now, Dragunov is on the other show, but you could always fix that by drafting him over to Raw. If you want him to work a program with Gunther, then you could just, work out a deal. Yeah, he just lost the U.S. title. So I actually could see that. I could see him. You would have to have a comparable trade if you were going to do some sort of trade between the GMs. But if it gets us Gunther and Dragunov in a major match at WrestleMania, sign me the fuck up. I think that'd be a great idea. So Jimmy said, the only bad spot that you're in is in your head, dude. You're a former world champion. You're a multiple-time tag team champion. Because he needs his brother. And Jay stood up. Seemingly he was back into things, but then he kind of lingered a little bit for a moment. Because Jimmy left and he lingered and then he left too. Speaking of potential Gunther opponents for the future, I don't see it happening now, but for the future down the road, maybe next year, I would say next year, 2027, I could see this. We got a video package for Obafemi. I think it was the same package that we got on SmackDown on Friday. And clearly he is on his way up to the main roster, which is a great move. And I don't care. In the end, I don't really care what brand he ends up on, although I think SmackDown could probably use him more. But he needs to be on the main roster like pronto. Like he's ready. And they could use someone like him. So we're going to probably get these videos for a few more weeks. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll show up in Brooklyn next week. I figure we would see him in the Rumble, and then coming out of the Rumble, he would officially be on one brand or the other. And we're seeing multiple faces from NXT that are popping up on the main roster that are teasing free agency. So add him to the list. Good. This is what these shows need. They need an infusion of new faces. Both shows do. And you don't have to call up half the NXT roster to do it. You just need 3 or 4. That way you could take 2 here, 2 there, 3 here, 2 there, whatever it is, and make sure it's a mix of both men and women. And that is how, you really help shake things up here with the new year, is by calling up some new faces. But he should be at the very top of that list. Talk about future WrestleMania main eventers. There's one right there. Yeah, I agree. SmackDown needs him more. Actually, to be honest with you, especially if they're not going to go to that for quite a while, I wouldn't even have him and Gunther on the same brand. I would try to keep them separate for as long as possible and then build to something down the road. Elsewhere, the World Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, they were shown in the back, case in point, talking to Javon Evans. And they were wondering, why are you here? And Javon said, well, I have no idea, because Mr. Pierce wanted to talk to me. And AJ said that they were proud of Evans no matter where he ends up. And he said that him and Leon Slater took them both to the limit at Saturday night's main event, and they look forward to running it back again. So they were interrupted by El Grande Americano and his fellow Americanos. They stepped to Evans, and so AJ and Lee, they had his back. So the Americanos all spoke a lot of Spanish, and then they left with Evans and AJ admitting they had no idea what they just said. But in the background, if you were watching here and paying attention, off in the distance, you could see Brutus Creed and Julius Creed with Ivy Nile. And I'm sure that was done intentionally. And it makes me wonder, is it maybe some sort of hint that Chad Gable is on his way back very soon? Because it's about that time that Gable should be back on television. Like, I would absolutely expect him back no later than the Royal Rumble, if not before. And that'll be great, because he's someone who's been missed on this show. And then they can take this Americano shit in whatever direction they had originally intended for it to go in. When he comes back, and he can play El Grande Americano, he could be Chad Gable, he could do it all. Hopefully that was a little Easter egg of something to come with him. They showed Austin Theory in the back, and he was warming up for his match. The rest of the Vision showed up to encourage him and welcome him to the Vision again, even though they already did that earlier. Paul Heyman suggested that Logan Paul and Theory, they bond by having Logan walk Theory to the ring for his match against Rey Mysterio, and so he did. And we got Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio one-on-one. Theory came down to the ring with Logan and some new entrance music, and he was very aggressive. He went at Rey very aggressively here at the start. And he kept it up until Mysterio got him in position for a 619. Theory rolled out of the ring and Mysterio followed, and Theory caught him and slammed him into the ring post, basically swung him into the ring post and the ring apron. So Theory went on offense for a bit. Rey was selling the beating. Theory put Rey in a tree of woe. Mysterio, though, countered when Theory charged in, and then he hit a West Coast pop into a Hurricane Rana. Logan then began offering advice, and Theory picked up Mysterio in a torture rack position. Mysterio countered into a beautiful DDT, but could only get a 2 count out of it. That transition into the DDT looked so smooth. And specifically on Theory's part, and the way he sold the DDT was great too. So Mysterio set him up for and connected with a 619. After that, though, Logan tripped him from the outside, causing the very lame disqualification. After the match, Paul and Theory, they beat down Mysterio until Penta arrived. And he arrived in street clothes. Still had the mask on, obviously. Made his way down to the ring. He evidently, he's cleared again because he threw some kicks and made the save. He set Paul up for a 619 before sending him out over the top rope with a lariat. And Rey and Penta celebrated as the Vision slipped off into the night. It's good to have Penta back already. He hasn't been gone for that long. You know, he got bounced out of the tournament. So he's been gone for what, 5 weeks maybe? Maybe 6. It wasn't anything that he needed surgery for. He was posting updates from his doctor, you know, down in Mexico. And so whatever it was, you know, evidently he's okay now, which is great. Unfortunately, it deprived us of a Lucha Brothers reunion at that AAA show a couple weeks ago. In time, I'm sure we'll get it. But it's just good to have him back. You know, I mean, we've heard about so many injuries, but like specifically shoulder injuries. Now, I've talked about this. Like in the last several months, it's been like a plague on this company. You know, it cost Liv Morgan many months. It's cost Chad Gable many months. He had to have rotator cuff surgery. Seth Rollins is out. Cost him a World Heavyweight Championship. Sheamus out with a shoulder injury. Penta out with a shoulder injury. Now Dominic Mysterio out with a shoulder injury. It's like never ending. But there are levels to this. Some are more serious than others. Some you can get by with 6 weeks. Some of them you may not be back for 6 months. I'm kind of hoping that's not the case with Dominic. But it was good to have Penta back here. After this, we had the Women's Intercontinental Champion Maxine Dupree out to the ring It's a chance of "you deserve it," which seemed to even catch her off guard. So she said that Becky Lynch can complain about not being the champion all she wants, but on January 5th, and then before she could get any more words out, she was interrupted by the man who made her way out, denying that she tapped to Maxine last week when they quarreled. Lynch said that the only thing she tapped over was living in Orlando. She went to enter the ring, and Maxine stopped her and threatened to make her tap again. Becky called her Moody Maxine and said that she came to give Maxine some credit. She was having trouble getting the words out. She couldn't even bring herself to say that. But she said that she used to think Maxine was awful, the worst that she's ever seen. But over the last few weeks, she's gotten a tiny bit better, and she managed to steal a title, so that's pretty good. Maxine said the only thing she stole from Becky was the spotlight. She said that she earned this title and will prove it next week when she defends against Becky again. And Becky grew very upset. She said that she came out here to be nice. I'm a nice person. She said that she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. Even Sports Illustrated says it. They didn't get into what else Sports Illustrated said recently. They only talk about the positive things that Sports Illustrated said. They won't talk about anything else that Sports Illustrated says. But Sports Illustrated said it, and the Bleacher Report said it. She reminds us that she always finds a way to win. And she says, will Maxine be everything the people think she is, or everything Becky knows she is? Welcome to the big time. And then Becky left. I thought that, look, what Maxine was saying, the words that she was saying here in this promo, nothing special. It's the delivery, though. I thought it was another solid showing from her on the microphone. This is the second time now since she's won that title that she's been given a microphone and given a few minutes in the ring in front of a live crowd, and she's improving at it. You know, you could tell like there's a certain confidence there in her delivery that probably would not have been there 6 months ago. So it's a role that she's slowly growing into. How long she will be in this role, though, as the champion, I don't know that it's going to be for very much longer, because I think there is a very good chance that they pull a title change next week with the idea that AJ Lee is going to be back. Whether she's back next week or at the Rumble, I don't know. But AJ Lee will be back, and I'm sure they're going to pick up with things with her and Becky again. Now, does that need a title? It doesn't need a title, but let's be honest here. If AJ Lee comes back and goes right back to feuding with Becky Lynch and they build to a match between the two of them, that match, even in the absence of a championship, is going to completely overshadow whatever Maxine might be doing with that championship. So the question is it better then to get the belt back on someone like Becky to shine a light on that championship? Because, you know, again, that championship will be featured with Becky feuding with AJ in a way that it won't be if you keep it on Maxine. Is it more important to do that, or is it more important to keep that title on Maxine as she continues to grow and really build her up? Build her up for what, though? Like, if she goes in there next week and beats Becky again, which would be like her third or fourth win over Becky, right? Technically fourth, I think, right? Because she's beaten her now by pinfall, count out, and disqualification. So does she get the submission win? Because then I think she'll have a win over her, all different kinds of victories. Or does she drop the belt? Doesn't mean they can't continue, you know, they can't have to stop building up Maxine just because she's not the champion anymore. But is it worth it to kind of cut her legs out from under her at a time when she's growing in order to put the belt back on Becky to give it more of a profile on these shows if, let's say, she's going to defend it against someone like AJ? It will be a bigger deal that way. And from a promotional standpoint, that's probably what I would do. So that title feels like it's probably in quite a bit of jeopardy next week. But it's not as if Becky needs the title. It's not about Becky needing a championship. It's just more, how is that title going to be featured? That title will not be on a PLE if Maxine Dupree is defending it. It won't be. You know, when Becky had it, she was defending it on the PLEs against Lyra and against Lyra and Bayley. You know, if Maxine is the champion, I mean, I'm trying to think of like where you go from here with her. She already beat Ivy Nile. Does she drop it to maybe someone in the Judgment Day? You know, are they going to maybe, and maybe that is the way to go. You know, maybe that helps build drama within the Judgment Day, let's say. If Raquel can't win the Women's World Championship or feels like, you know, whatever, however it plays out with her, maybe she gets her rematch and maybe the other women get involved and cost her, whatever the case may be. But then let's say Roxanne or Liv sneaks out an IC title win, right? You could always use that to further the story in the Judgment Day. Doesn't have to be Becky. They put that title on Liv, believe me, it'll get plenty of screen time. Backstage, Adam Pearce was shown meeting with Trick Williams, another new face that is on his way up to the main roster. And Pearce said that after the first of the year, let's figure out how we can get more Trick on Mondays. And Trick told him to take your time, but don't take too much time. Says, you know, he's getting all kinds of offers, and he gave him his business card. So Trick left as Bayley and Lyra walked in, and Lyra said that there's a big tag team title match on the show next week, and they want Next. And Pearce told them, well, you know, Liv and Roxanne were in his office, and before he could even finish, Bayley just completely flipped out. And Lyra pointed out that Bayley did beat Roxanne last week, which Pearce said, yes, I'm aware. So Bayley called Pearce a bald idiot. Probably not a good idea to call your boss names if you're trying to get something out of him. He may be a bald idiot, but I don't know that I would be calling him that. So she called him a bald idiot, and Lyra tried to do damage control and said, well, she meant that as a term of endearment. And then she reiterated that we want Next. And Pearce said, I need a drink. This man has a problem. You should call Ric Flair. They could hang out together. They could be drinking buddies. He could find Rick at the Pearl down in Tampa. So they closed the show with the World Tag Team titles on the line. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending against the Usos. And the champions cleared the challengers from the ring before the show went to a break. This was a couple of minutes into this match. Jay threw a kick from the apron that dropped Styles while the referee was focused on Jimmy. Styles eventually tagged in Dragon Lee, who worked over Jimmy until he tagged out. Lee got a sit-out powerbomb on Jay for a near fall. And then Dragon had Jay down at ringside when he ran the ropes, only to be tripped up by Jimmy. And Jimmy ran him into the ring steps. So Jimmy cleared off the announce desk. Styles ran over, and he leaped off the ring steps before catching Jimmy with a flying forearm. Jay hit Styles with a suicide dive that ended with AJ laid out on top of the table, and we got another commercial. So the Usos worked over Dragon Lee for a little bit before Lee got Jimmy leaned over the middle rope, and he double stomped him before making a hot tag. Jay also tagged in. He super kicked Lee off the apron before spearing AJ. Jay then dove to his corner and tagged Jimmy back in. Jimmy hit AJ with an Uso splash. Got a good near fall out of that. Moments later, Dragon Lee hit this crazy suicide dive that took out Jimmy by the announce desk, and it looked like Dragon Lee smashed himself into the desk or off the desk. In the ring, Styles rolled up Jay for a 2 count. Jay hit Styles, who came right back with this great Pele kick. I mean, he hit him flush with that, right on the back of the head. Styles hit Jay with a Styles clash, and he covered him for another good near fall. Now, I saw some people in my mentions asking me if Dragon Lee, he got pinned at the finish here. Well, he wasn't the legal man. I'm pretty sure he was the legal man. I think it was right here, actually, that AJ tagged him first. And then what happened is he tagged him in here. And then AJ draped Jay over the top rope for Dragon Lee to come off the top with a double stomp. And then in so doing, that momentum sent him into the waiting arms of AJ, who was going to give him another Styles clash. Only AJ then saw Jimmy take off Dragon Lee's head with a super kick. And we never did get that follow-up Styles clash. Instead, AJ ended up out on the apron. and he was in perfect position here for a phenomenal forearm. As he springboarded into the air, though, on the way down, he ate a double super kick from the Usos. They followed up with another double super kick for Dragon Lee, and then they finished him off with a 1D to win the tag team titles, their 9th reign in their career together as the tag team champions. The fans celebrated the title change as the Usos went to the crowd. They shot off pyro for them. And we had a funny moment here at the very end. As the credits were rolling, they're on the stairs right in the crowd. And Jimmy turns around. He starts walking up the stairs. And Jay is he's yelling his shoot name. He's like, John, John. He's yelling for him, trying to get his attention because he wants to do like a pose, right? Or maybe the cameraman was trying to get his attention to tell Jimmy so they could pose before they go off the air. Jimmy just could not hear him. So Jay just gave up and just walked behind him, and then they faded out, and that was the end of the show. This was an excellent main event to cap off a very average episode of Raw, but a good way to close out, the year with a match like that. The Usos, they are the champions for the first time in over 2 years, actually closer to 3 years, really, since that WrestleMania main event. Although Jay has been tag team champion with Cody Rhodes since then, Jimmy has not. So no Jey Uso heel turn, no Jimmy heel turn. There was no drama here between the brothers. They played it straight. The Usos are rock solid. And honestly, it's where they should be. It's where they should be in a tag team division that could desperately use more matches like this and just more teams. But the division is so depleted right now. I don't know who's next for them. They've got some work to do there, clearly. I mean, you've got the Viking Raiders, you've got the New Day. I would say the Judgment Day, although right now you don't because JD McDonough is out. You got the Usos, you got the Vision. And so maybe when shit goes sideways with Jimmy and Jay, maybe it's the Vision who are the beneficiaries of that. And maybe we see Logan Paul and Austin Theory end up as tag team champions. I could absolutely see that. You're not going to do the Bronze because right now Braun Breaker has much more important things to worry about than the tag team titles. But Logan Paul and Austin Theory holding tag team gold, yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. As far as AJ and Dragon Lee, they made a good team. It's kind of like Brodito in AEW, where it's a team that, it's a makeshift team, but it's a team that you don't expect. And then they end up just being a really fun team to watch. And they're very reliable as far as going out there and just having great wrestling matches and very exciting wrestling matches on TV. And now it's over. And we always knew it was going to be a temporary thing. This now frees up AJ to go and wrestle Gunther if that's the direction they want to go in. Dragon Lee, he's too good to just simply fade back into obscurity. So I just hope they keep him active on the show, whatever that looks like. I'm not expecting him to go out there and win championships, although it looks like we might have a vacancy soon where the Intercontinental title is concerned. But, just get him reps on the show. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he should definitely have a place on the show, whatever it is that he's doing, instead of just sitting in the back as, so many other people do. He's better than that. So hopefully, that is something that we are able to see. But they opened hot with that promo, and they closed hot with that match. Everything else in the middle, could take it or leave it.
My curiosity is killing me just like a cat would be killed by the curiosity, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Holiday 197, thank you, brother. Thank you for that macho chat. We're 7 out of 10. Look at that on the bonus goal. I just noticed. And get those likes up, too, for Be the Booker. Wednesday night, as I mentioned before, just to run through the programming notes here. Wednesday night is going to be the big New Year's Eve stream. Do this every year. Usually it doesn't fall on a Wednesday. Just kind of worked out that way this year, but we'll incorporate Dynamite into it and count down the hours and the minutes and the seconds until the clock strikes midnight and we ring in a new year together. So hopefully you will join me and help me make it till midnight. And then on Friday, we have 3 hours 3 hours of SmackDown. I'll need you to keep me company. I may be the one drinking. Adam Pearce may want to come hang out with me on Friday. He could pull up a chair. I'll bring a chair in here. Adam, I'll expand this out a little bit. You can sit right next to me, and we'll drink our sorrows away on Friday. That'll be during SmackDown. But it's okay. It's okay because we have Jade Cargill against Michin on Friday. So I can't wait. And Carmelo Hayes, of course, is the new United States champion. So we'll see if he's going to continue the Open Challenge or if the Open Challenge is over. I think the Open Challenge needs to be over, but I could see them continuing it until a heel wins the title. Once a heel wins the title, that's the end of the Open Challenge anyway. So, but yes, the Carmelo Hayes era begins as the U.S. champion. And then next Monday is the first Raw of 2026. They're going to be live right here in my backyard of Brooklyn. I will not be there. I will be here so that we can talk about it as soon as Raw goes off the air. CM Punk and Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. Rhea and Io take on Asuka and Kairi for the women's tag team titles. Becky and Maxine for the women's intercontinental title. And there's a lot of rumors going around that maybe, possibly, Chris Jericho, not only back in WWE, which I think is a given, but that it could be as soon as next Monday. Now, technically, his contract with AEW is set to expire at the stroke of midnight, I guess, on Thursday morning. So, December 31st, clock strikes midnight. He is set to be a free agent. At that point, it would just boil down to how quickly can a deal be put together. If there is a deal to be done, it will get done. That's what happened with CM Punk. When he came back to WWE 2 years ago, that whole thing came together over Thanksgiving. If there's a deal they want to make bad enough, they'll make it happen. So if they could put pen to paper in time, and all you need is a few days, we could see Jericho back on TV as soon as next Monday. And if we do, of course, then the question is, how do they reintroduce him? What's the creative? What do they have in mind for him? Does it involve the World Heavyweight Championship picture and the vision and all that? Or, is he just going to show up and not speak? Remember when he came back, one of his many returns all those years ago, he showed up and he was like, yeah, and he's like celebrating, and then he said nothing. I mean, with Jericho, you never know. You never know. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's Raw next Monday. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. What did you think of the final Raw of 2025? I just hope that, if he is coming back, and I would expect that, like, that first appearance would be, his old Y2J music, but I would like to see him ultimately settle in with Judas as his son. I'd like to see, if he's going to come back, I'd like to see him bring Judas to WWE. What'd you think of Raw? 59.5% thumbs up for tonight's show, about 22% thumbs in the middle, and 18.7% thumbs down. The learning tree. Do not say learning tree. I will keep the learning tree for now with the super chats. We may have to retire it if the learning tree is ultimately dead, but we'll keep the learning tree for the time being. You imagine all of a sudden in the middle of Raw, I put my head in the fucking microwave. But like, no, it can't be. It can't be. It's not possible. Be like something out of a horror movie. Joseph Stewart. Dropping a lot of love here tonight. Joseph says, happy Monday. Let's run through these here. Wanted to know what was WWE's plans for Stone Cold and Jonathan Coachman at Taboo Tuesday, and why did the match not happen? I believe the plan was for Jonathan Coachman to beat Stone Cold in some kind of angle, and why didn't it happen? Because Stone Cold told them that he injured his back in moving some furniture. conveniently, and was unavailable for the match on that pay-per-view. And I think then they subbed Batista in his place. Even Stone Cold knows shit creative when he sees it. So that is why the match did not happen. Was there a plan to do Hogan versus Cena at a WrestleMania? Yes, there were plans, early plans anyway, to do Hogan and Cena at WrestleMania 25. So on that show, we would have had Hogan, Cena, and we would have had Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. For the 25th anniversary, even though it really was not the 25th anniversary, but they called it the 25th anniversary. But yeah, Hogan ended up having another back surgery, so that plan went out the window, and I guess we got the triple threat, right? We got Cena, Big Show, and Edge, I think was the main event, or one of the main events. Was I a fan of the rock band Aerosmith? Yeah, I like Aerosmith. Favorite Aerosmith songs? Oh, man. Off the top of my head, what would I consider my favorite? I don't know. I mean, I like their music. It's not like I have a whole list of, like absolute favorite. Actually, you know what? If I had to pick like a favorite, honestly, don't laugh at me. I like the song. And it always makes me think of Mrs. Doubtfire. Dude Looks Like a Lady. I might actually have to go with that song. Was I a fan of Motley Crue? Any favorite songs? I don't hate them, but I'm not really a fan. Did I know today is the anniversary of the January 4th, 1999 episode of Raw? Yes, I do. I do, because that is probably the biggest pop that I've ever heard. I could only imagine what it was like in the building that night. But yeah, they taped it. Technically, Mankind won the championship for the first time in 1998. It just didn't air until the beginning of 99. That was a taped show. And that was the night that Stone Cold came down to the ring to help Mick Foley win the title. And man, that place just fucking exploded. Oh my God. Was Stone Cold against The Rock always the plan for WrestleMania 15? I believe the early plan was to do a triple threat. I think it was going to be Austin, Rock, and Mankind. But there have also been, there's been so many rumors about like Shawn Michaels and Triple H politicking behind the scenes. Rock is not ready for a main event at WrestleMania. And they were lobbying for a singles match between, I don't know if it would have been Stone Cold and Triple H. I think they were actually lobbying for Stone Cold and Mankind. Anybody but The Rock. And I could totally believe that, by the way. Thankfully, they didn't get their way. And we got Austin Rock, which is exactly what we should have gotten that year. Also, he says, rest in peace to actress Bridget Bardot. Yes, I saw that she passed away. Did you know Raquel Welch almost played Catwoman in the Adam West Batman TV show? Man, Raquel Welch, man, she was a smoke show back then. Was I a fan of the Russell Crowe movie Gladiator? Not really. Which wrestler do you think should have won the Royal Rumble? Mr. Perfect should have won the Royal Rumble in 1990 and not Hogan. That should have been Mr. Perfect's year. But, they want to send the crowd home happy and have the big baby face win. Let's think about it. Like in 88, Duggan won. 89, Big John Studd won. 90, Hogan won. There was talk that they were actually going to let Andre win in 91 just to give him one last big win. He was supposed to be in the Rumble. He was in the graphic, but his body was just, his back was so shot. At that point, he could just barely move. So he ended up not being in the Rumble. But I do remember hearing that Andre probably would have gotten the win in 91, but he just couldn't be in it. Just couldn't do it. How different would Drew McIntyre's career have been if he had won the title from Brock Lesnar in front of fans? I don't think his career would have been any different. It would have been a better moment for him. You know, and then we wouldn't have to listen to him come on television and bitch about the fact that, you know, he won the title in front of no fans. Just go back to the Rumble in 2020 when he claymored Brock out of the Rumble and they panned out in the stadium and everybody was on their feet. Like, it was such a huge moment. So it would have been a big moment for him to do that in front of fans, you know, at Mania, but his career wouldn't be any different. Do I think Anna Jay will re-sign with AEW? I think she's gone. Apparently she's going to be exploring her options once she's able to do so. I think she's gone. Did you know that Mae Questel, who played Aunt Bethany in Christmas Vacation, was the voice of Betty Boop and Olive Oil from Popeye? Well, now we know. Have you seen the Robin Williams Popeye movie? That I did not see. Have you seen the Chevy Chase movie, Cops and Robertsons? Jack Palance is in the movie as well. I did not, but I always laugh. Every story I hear about Chevy Chase, anybody who's ever met him, anybody who's ever worked with him in movies, on SNL, I have not seen one positive story about Chevy Chase. Every single fucking person to a T says he is a gigantic raging asshole. Nobody likes him. It's rare. It's rare that you have a clean sweep of people and stories kind of united to say that this person is he's just no good. Would you have liked to have seen a crossover between Michael Keaton Batman and Christopher Reeve Superman back in the 90s? Not really, because I was not a Superman guy. I was a Batman guy. So to me, I didn't really care for Superman, so it wouldn't have mattered to me. Would you have liked to have seen a crossover between Jack Nicholson's Joker and Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor? Nope. Did you know Gene Hackman was in Bonnie and Clyde as Clyde's brother Buck? I did not know that. Have you seen the Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty movie Ishtar? No, and I heard it was terrible. All the President's Men. Yes, that was not terrible. That was actually very good. I read Charlotte's Web. I did when I was younger. Couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't remember anything about it, but I did read it. Have I seen the Shaquille O'Neal movie Kazam? No, I actually avoided that one. Did I know Frank Oz, who did the puppeteer for Yoda, did the puppeteer for Bert and Miss Piggy? No. Can't say that I did. Or the man that does the puppeteer for Elmo did the puppeteer for Splinter in the first two Ninja Turtles movies. Is that true? That's kind of weird. What are your 5 favorite Sesame Street characters? I actually have not been asked that before. For me, it's Oscar the Grouch, Cookie Monster, Grover, Bert and Ernie. There are your 5. What are your 5 favorite Muppet characters? Now we're talking about the Muppets, huh? I don't have 5. I'll give you Kermit, I'll give you Gonzo, and I'll give you Beaker. That's all I can give you. Miss Piggy, I'm not a fan of hers. Was Big Bird the face of Sesame Street? Yes, Big Bird was the face that runs the place. Big Bird was the Cody Rhodes of Sesame Street. Did you know that Mickey Rooney almost played the Penguin in the Batman TV show? Yeah, that would have been terrible. Did you know in the Blues Brothers, James Brown played a preacher? I did. Wednesday is my birthday, he says. Well, you know, we're having a party here on Wednesday for New Year's Eve, so If you're not busy, you should stop on by. We'll celebrate Joseph's birthday as well. How about that? Happy birthday, Joseph. Man, he's got one last one here. A $9.99. Thank you for everything, Solomonster. I appreciate it. Have a blessed and safe day today. Happy New Year to you and your family. Happy New Year to you and yours as well. And if you cannot join on Wednesday, have a very happy birthday. Very cool that your birthday is on New Year's Eve. We got Dried Ribs and Chicken is with us with a $5 super chat as we just hit 8 out of 10 on the bonus Be the Booker goal. There's 2 more. Here's bold predictions. In 2026, Mercedes Moné becomes the AEW Women's World Champion. I don't know that that's a bold prediction. It's certainly a prediction. It's not a bold prediction. Julia leaves WWE. Braun Breaker becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. So those are his predictions for the new year. We got the Boss Mo Jackson with a bunch of super chats. Not gonna lie, Raquel Rodriguez has improved. She is good. I would dare say she is the most improved in 2025. She's been very impressive. Really, ever since that advice that Kevin Nash gave her, honestly. She's been wrestling like a different person. He says, Rumble predictions winners, LA Knight and Roxy or Liv. In my opinion, he says, Asuka is the best Asian wrestler in WWE. I believe that's Io Sky. Says, this show is good. It's great to have Penta back. Yes, it is very good to have him back. And I'm loving the theme song of Theory. It fits him. I don't know. I need to hear it more than just once before I can pass judgment on it. It's not terrible. Phil, a couple of super chats. Can we please take the IC title away from Maxine? Well, you may get your wish next week. You know, Becky might just do that. Apparently, Phil is no fan of Maxine Dupree. He also says not really excited about the Usos winning the tag team titles again, but I'll take that over Jey Uso being the world champion. Yeah, I'm not gonna, complain. I mean, he's out of the world title picture, which he needed to be. He is back where he belongs right now, which is in the tag team scene. And he can be more useful right now and beneficial in the tag team division than he would be in the world title picture. I have no interest in seeing him back in the world title picture at all. At all. Arabian Night, why call up Javon, Trick, Oba, and Hendry at the same time? NXT's men's division already is shallow. If anything, call up more women. In my opinion, only Trick and Oba should be up. Well, this is what happens when you wait until the last minute and you don't bother spacing it out and calling people up, in the latter part of this year, and you wait until the beginning of the new year. There was no draft. There was no transfer window. There was nothing. They completely ignored and neglected all of the gaping holes in the, especially SmackDown roster. And so now it's like, well, we got to call up a whole bunch of people at the same time. When they should have already done that a few months ago. They could have called 2 or 3 people up a few months ago. This is what happens. I was like a broken record about it. You can't be surprised by this. I've been pointing out this for months now. I don't know why it took them so long. Barry MK with the $15 drop. They really made the Intercontinental title feel like the most important women's title in WWE. Becky has been amazing, but I feel like there's not much to Maxine for me to really care about her. There isn't, but they are at least taking steps to try to remedy that. With those vignettes, like the training vignettes in the dungeon, and giving her more promo time, like they're doing what they should be doing. They're checking all the boxes. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but I applaud them for at least making the attempt. Melik Gaming. So now that the Usos won the titles, what team do you see challenging them that can be somewhat exciting? And also, what's new with HOG? New teams that could be somewhat exciting. I don't know about the exciting part, but I think that there's a very good chance they drop them to the Vision. As far as HOG, we're closing out our biggest year ever. So 2026 is going to be even bigger. We have our first Los Angeles show coming up on January 30th at the Globe Theater. That's going to be a big one. And I think there's only balcony seats left. Everything else is sold out. And we just announced today our return to Chicago. Back at Logan Square Auditorium on Friday night, March 6th. I will be there in Chicago. And then back at the big event again on Long Island, March 21st. And there's some other stuff I can't talk about right now, but we're going to be going places. So it's going to be a big year. Aaron says, buy, rent, sell. Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista. We just hit the bonus goal. Wake up, everybody. We just hit the bonus goal. Thank you, guys. On these three, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's different phases of each that I liked. I'm inclined to buy on Triple H, and a lot of that has to do with, honestly, nothing that he has done in the last probably 15 plus years. It really, a lot of it has to do with like late 90s, 2000, 2001 period. I'd probably buy on Triple H and then rent Batista and sell Randy Orton. I can't hate on Hollywood Batista. Come on, man. I know it didn't last very long, but Hollywood Batista, come on. B-Man the Champ. Hey, Solo, hope you have a happy new year. You too. Which do you think is more likely to happen? Braun winning the title next week or losing and being so pissed that he destroys everyone and wins the Rumble? I'm going to say wins the Rumble. Is more likely. GMB. Who could be a better heel, Bianca or Willow? Bianca. Aaron. Two nuns were riding their bikes to church. One says, I've never come this way before. The other says, it's the cobblestones. I've never come this way before. Oh, Dirty joke there. Dirty joke there. Didn't get that one right away, but B-Man the Champ says, actually, those noises Asuka was making were her calling fans baka, which is Japanese for stupid or idiot. It was a terrible segment. Arabian Night. D. Lee's deal is up this week. After tonight, does he... Oh, Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee's deal is up this week, huh? I didn't hear that. Is that true? Does he stay? Yes, I think he... If his deal is up...
It's a direction you can fuck.
If his deal... Thank you, Rock. If his deal is up, yeah, I think he stays. I hadn't heard that about his deal being up this week. Alex with the 10. Brother Solo, hope you're doing great. I've been better. Can you see them closing next Monday's show with the reveal of Jericho as the other masked man, thus costing Punk the title? They do love their damn moments. I mean, that's an idea that I floated a couple times over the last few weeks. Like, is a potential way to get him involved in the vision and basically take the place of Seth Rollins as sort of the veteran leader of the group. Could I see it? Yeah, I could see it. I can't put a percentage on how likely I think it is. I think it's one way they could go with it. If they want him to be involved in the main event scene, in the main event picture, then it's going to be the best spot for him, in all honesty. Now he's saying his deal is up in December of 2026. That's what C's is saying in the chat. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Dragon Lee's deal being up this week. I don't know where you read that. I don't know if that's true. Aaron with a $9.99 was listening to a sound off from 2010. And you talked about how TNA moving to Mondays could lead to Raw going to 3 hours. Was there a specific cause for them going? And I feel bad now that I put that out there. I kind of feel partially responsible now. Because 2 years later, it became a reality. But was there a reason for them going to 3 hours when they did? Yeah, it's because USA Network wanted it. Raw was the best thing on that network. It helped lift their overall average every week. So they thought, well, if we get a third hour of Raw, it could only improve the ratings for us, right? So it was a completely selfish reason on their part. It was all USA Network, though. Now, Vince agreed to it. I suppose he could have said no. But that was a USA Network call. Prince Vegeta says, I really hope that what you said on your podcast about Jacob Fought 2 costing Drew is untrue. That would be too obvious. Drew is too good to be in the Kevin Owens spot. If he loses again, just turn him, baby. If he's not winning the title, I could definitely see Jacob playing a role and them going the predictable, safe route with him being the one responsible for taking Jacob out in the first place. Alexander says, plot twist, Maxine drops the belt and then later on in the back runs into Gable, an American Made, and then they talk. Oh, I thought you were taking that super chat in a different direction. I thought you were going to say she's walking in the back later and runs into her brother, Max Dupree. And they reboot LA Knight. Brother and sister reunited. Super Pony, we're not buying this Finn singles push, are we? LOL. Yeah, just like we were supposed to buy into it this year. That was the rumor going around a year ago, 2025, big singles push coming for Finn Balor. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Holiday 197. Hey, Solo, I see the Usos keeping the World Tag Team belts until at least WrestleMania. They're a highly established team to build the belts around leading up to Mania. Perhaps 2 members of the Vision will be the challengers. Yes, Logan Paul and Austin Theory. There you go. And actually, that could be a Mania match. I could see that being a WrestleMania match. I'd much rather see that than Jimmy against Jay. Toya says, hi, Solo. Looking forward to Wednesday. It'll be my first. Also glad to see Penta back. Well, I'm glad that you will be able to spend your first New Year's Eve with us here on the channel. Should be a good time. Base Beer is keep Jay out of the main event scene. Yeah, well, he's a main event Jey Uso, though. Can't call him main event Jey Uso anymore. Now he's mid-card Jey Uso. Devin says, why are people still chanting what going into 2026? Because they are brain damaged. That's why. Base Bear says, the New Year streams are awesome. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Alexander, pray we don't get the learning tree with Jericho. Well, if Jericho was to join the Vision, they all would essentially be sitting under the learning tree. You know? In a way. Rican Son, got home from my 6th show of the year. Shame they did AJ dirty in the same building he debuted in 10 years ago. I was there just like you. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year, brother. right. I was there. 2016 Royal Rumble. I was in the building that night. That was a great opening match that night for the Intercontinental title between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. Duff's Vids, why was the candy cane so expensive? It was in mint condition. Mint condition. Prince Vegeta, I stopped watching weekly AEW a while ago, but what I have seen of Kyle Fletcher, he is the real deal. They need to belt him in 2026. He's one of the real stars that they have created that they could, you know, really count on as part of the nucleus of that company going forward. The Mount Vernon Kid, just to correct, Welch was a contender when Annette Bening dropped out of the Catwoman role due to pregnancy. Madonna, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Susan Sarandon, but ultimately went to Michelle Pfeiffer, which was the correct choice, by the way. Michelle Pfeiffer in that Catwoman outfit will always be peak. Duff's Vids just came across my Facebook feed, a commercial from 1988 when NWA partnered with Mellow Yellow with Dusty Rhodes. In case no one knew, were there polka dots? Did they have polka dots, yellow polka dots, as part of that campaign? The Yatagaratsu, have you ever played or at least heard of Shaquille O'Neal's fighting game Shaq Fu? There's Brock. Poor Brock. Lucky he didn't break his neck on that fall. Yes, I have heard of Shaq Fu. Did not play it, but I have heard of it. Big Hoss. Leon Slater winning the NXT title and then signing with WWE. I don't know what his contract status is with TNA. He's the TNA X Division champion. I just find it hard to believe that he's going to win the NXT title if he's a TNA X Division champion. But if his contract is coming due soon, then they have clearly demonstrated that they have an interest in featuring him. So, yeah. But I mean, I know Oba is defending the title against him next week. I mean, I don't know. As long as he has that X Division title, I can't see him. I can't see him winning that championship. Luis, $10 super chat. Ash Ketchum from Pokemon and Yugi Muto. Pharaoh Atem from Yu-Gi-Oh! Were the heart and soul of Kids WB in the 2000s. Just like John Cena was from 2005 to 2010 in WWE. Do you agree? I don't know any of those people that you just mentioned. I can't agree. I can't agree if I don't know who these people are. Yugi Muto? Luis. Never change, Luis. Jeremy Rose, haven't heard much about KO's injury recovery. Do you think there's any chance that there is a surprise Rumble return a la Cena? No. I mean, again, he just had neck surgery in July. And, you know, it was pretty serious stuff. He didn't have surgery right away. He had to wait. There was like swelling or whatever that had to go down. So he only had surgery in the summer. And no, he's not going to be a part of WrestleMania this year. So anybody expecting a surprise Rumble return, no one would be more surprised than I if he popped up in the Rumble. Although if he did, then there's your Jericho match for WrestleMania. But again, I don't see that happening. Duff's Vids, why are skeletons so calm? Nothing can get under their skin. Thank you, Duffs. Viney Boiler. I don't know if you cared, but I hated when Mox left a title match in the ring in AEW in 2022. Felt it devalued the title. Any moments that you felt hurt a title? I mean, almost every single time John Cena would lose a championship and then would show up on TV the next night smiling, seemingly not giving a shit. Like, yeah, way to diminish the title. And that goes for anybody, really. Like, you lose a world championship and you show up on TV the next night and you're all smiles. You know, like it's water off your back. To me, that diminishes the title. The Mount Vernon Kid, because I respect your opinion a lot, I'd like to hear yours on this. What if? What if Obafemi screws Drew as payback for his match and they start an ongoing feud? So I'm going to answer this two ways. I would not mind a feud between Oba and Drew, even if that was maybe a Mania match. But I hear people saying this. I hear people saying that Oba is going to screw Drew as revenge for him screwing. And I think there are people who actually think that the match with Oba and Cody was a title match. I'm not saying that you do, but there are clearly people who do. That was not a championship match. Drew McIntyre, I know he kind of ruined Oba's moment and he could be upset about that, but like, he didn't screw him out of any title in that match. And if you remember the end, when the match was over, he got the last laugh because he chokeslammed him, right? He chokeslammed Drew and left Drew laying. I don't really see where this whole, like, he's going to get revenge on Drew. Like, for what? Drew didn't cost him a championship. The two things would not be equal. But if they want to do Drew and Oba, like, I'm fine with that. Just the logic behind it doesn't make any sense. Westel Boy 1000. Best wishes for 2026. If you were Triple H and The Rock came to you this week, said he regrets the past and cleared his schedule from Survivor Series 2026 to WrestleMania for a final match with Cena, what would you say? I would say you're a year too late. Cena's retired. Tough luck, buddy. John Cena ain't coming back. John Cena's done. So you could, you know, Rock could voice his interest in doing a match like that all he wants to, but it's not going to happen. If Rock cleared his schedule and made a commitment to be there on a regular basis to build up a proper WrestleMania match, I'd be all in. It probably would be his last. And that could be Rock and Cody. That could be Rock and Roman. Beyond that, I have to focus on my roster. And I have to focus on the people who are going to be here every single week. And I'm not worried or focused on The Rock. If I'm Triple H, I don't think about The Rock. When The Rock wants to come back, he's high enough up on the food chain there that he'll come back. And there's nothing Triple H could do about it. But I don't worry about it. I don't sweat it. I don't let it interfere with my existing plans. They've been burned by him multiple times before. I mean, you can only let it happen so many times. Creflo. When you were a kid, was anything scarier than hearing Robert Stack's voice along with the Unsolved Mysteries theme? I had to watch it as punishment. As punishment? Your parents made you watch it as punishment? It's kind of cruel. No, there really wasn't anything scarier. Actually, there was when my dad would get angry. But besides that, no, there was nothing scarier than that. I still have the song, the theme song for the show in my head. It was very creepy. And Base Beerus, Jey Uso belongs on main event. That's a little extreme. You'll have all the fans yeeting on main event. That is kind of funny, though. The Mount Vernon Kid, Lucha Brothers versus Usos. Anyone? Now, there is a match that I could get behind. I hadn't even thought about that as maybe a WrestleMania match. How about Rey Fenix and Penta against the Usos for the World Tag Team titles? How about that? More than likely, the titles will go from the Usos to the Vision, but I love that. As a WrestleMania match, I love that. I think that would be great. Paul Carpenter says, I've been watching a lot of old school wrestling, Magnum TA and Dusty Rhodes versus Horseman, and I'm telling you, holy shit, you want to talk about aura. Dude, the WWE Vault today started a watch party, and they will have these watch parties periodically. It's like a marathon, so it loops, and it'll run it for like a week. Just a live stream. It runs for like a week. I don't know if this is running the whole week or just through New Year's, but it's the golden era. They have a golden era, like mid to late 80s, early 90s watch party. So I didn't realize this until this morning. I was doing some work, podcast related work, artwork. I was doing a bunch of stuff. RSPW. I was working on a whole bunch of different things today. And I had it on in the background. And they had the 1990 Royal Rumble match. Now, I always talk about the 1992 Royal Rumble, which is the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. But, I don't show enough love to the 1990 Royal Rumble. That Rumble, you talk about aura. You talk about stars. That Rumble is full of them. Like at one point in the ring at the same time, you had Jake Roberts, Ted DiBiase, Roddy Piper, Macho King. God, who else? Dusty came out. Just like one right after the other, Rick Rude was in that Rumble. Mr. Perfect, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, on and on and on. Andre, Demolition, Bret Hart came out. Like, holy shit, you talk about aura. Like, the top stars of that time had a certain aura that I don't want to say nobody. Clearly, the top stars today have that, but it was just something different. You know what I mean? Like it just, you talk about larger than life aura. Like you felt it just by watching those shows. Duff's Vids, why should you lift your leg during the New Year's countdown so you start the new year on the right foot? He says, I agree with Luis. No, you can't do that. You never agree with Luis. That's the wrong thing to do. You don't agree with Luis. We don't want to encourage him. Linkmaster X, Blue Eyes, White Dragon. Ace Italiano, 88. Any update on Keith Lee's status? It's been 2 years since he went down in his in-ring career. Is his in-ring career over, or will he eventually return? That's up to Keith Lee. He's kept that very close to the vest. It's been a very long time since he's been in the ring. The most important thing is his health. I don't know what his in-ring status is. He's still under contract to AEW. I mean, we've certainly tried to make contact even to see if we can maybe bring him in on our end even. I mean, when he's ready to come back, he'll be ready to come back. Do I think we'll see him back in the ring? Yes. When will that be? Only he knows. And Jeremy Rose. Jacob fought 2, winning the Royal Rumble and then picking Cody because he attacked him. I know this is too creative for WWE, but just wanted to put it out. I don't hate it. But I just feel like if Cody was actually going to go heel, the better way to do it would probably be to do it at Mania and not do the John Cena thing from this year where you do it in advance, but save it as like this big sort of climactic twist for the end of the WrestleMania main event. But Anything, you get Jacob in the ring in a Mania main event match against Cody. It's someone fresh. I think that would be great. I would have no issue with that. You'll get Cody and Roman and like it. But I like your idea. All right, let's take a look here because we have hit 465 likes, which is great. I think we can get that up to 500, though, before we get out of here. But we smashed the regular goal, and we hit the bonus goal, which means you guys are getting not one, but 2 rounds. You didn't even wait until New Year's Eve. Like, I'm expecting you guys to smash all of these goals on Wednesday. Otherwise, I'm going to be very disappointed. But you did it tonight, so let's not waste any time. Let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
We got 2 rounds coming our way. Like the sound of that. We talk about some aura. There's a lot of people here in Be the Booker right now on your screen that have aura. Let's see. Let's see if we pick a team with aura. Here's a team with some aura. Eddie and Chavo. Los Guerreros, the former SmackDown Tag Team Champions, kicking us off here in B2B. Going to put those titles on the line, but against who? Anytime we get Eddie Guerrero and Be the Booker, it's a good night. And they're going to defend the titles against Enzo Amore and Big Cass. Interesting match. That would be an interesting match, actually. Los Guerreros, I remember the promos, but Los Guerreros and Kaz and Enzo. That's a fresh match, too. It's not one that we've landed on before. Yeah, those titles, I like those titles. When they had those titles that you just saw, and the World Tag Team titles on Raw back in 2002, I didn't like the World Tag Team titles on Raw. The ones on SmackDown I thought looked much better. Women's Be the Booker, we have Rhea Ripley. Oh, my. Rhea Ripley. There she is, everybody. And she will be stepping into the ring with Chelsea Green, the reigning United States champion and one half of the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions with Ethan Page. She's got more gold than Rhea does right now, although Rhea may have gold after next week. And our main event. Don't tell me to calm down. Our main event of the evening. Oh, my goodness, look at this. It's going to be a fatal 4-way. We haven't even gotten to the stipulations yet in round 2. We're already picking stips. All right, we got 4 men to choose from here in this main event. We have the American Nightmare, the WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes, taking his rightful place here in the main event. Chad Gable was killed. Pick a stip to ease our pain. Oh, my. Look at Chad. Remember this? This feels like a lifetime ago now. He was massacred by the Wyatt Six. Well, we already have a stipulation. I'm not going to pick a different one. We already picked one, so we're going to stick with Fatal 4-Way. All right, we got Cody. We've got Rey Mysterio. Okay. I like where this is going. Samoa Joe, the now former AEW World Champion. Man, we got Cody, we got Rey, we got Samoa Joe, which is not the Samoan named Joe that Cody is wrestling at WrestleMania this year. And we have Jake the Snake Roberts. Cody Rhodes, Jake the Snake Roberts, Rey Mysterio, and Samoa Joe. I leave it up to you guys. Who wins that fatal four-way? Who walks out as the champion in that fatal four-way? You got to game it out for me. And while you ponder that, I will prepare round number 2. That's a clean sweep right there. We got to do it twice though. We need some good momentum going into New Year's Eve. That is a great card. That is a great card. Cody. Blue Neon says Cody wins. Nav says Joe. It looks like a tie right now. Half of you saying Cody, half of you saying Joe. I don't see Ray getting any love. I think we know who's eating the pin in that match. Sorry, Ray. All right, our first... Oh, my God. Oh, no. Our first stipulation is the Punjabi prison. I'm having flashbacks now. If you know, you know. We're going to have a Punjabi prison match, everybody. I guess we'll start with the men. I don't see any scenario where this ends in a bell. This is going to have to be something really special to get a bell here. I'm not seeing it. Well, all right. We got Vikingo. We got El Hijo del Vikingo. He's a heel now, by the way. Vikingo, he can climb that cage pretty fast. Man, Vikingo in a Punjabi prison. Don't say Solomonster. And Joe Hendry, Vikingo and Joe Hendry in the Punjabi prison. You know what? That is such a cursed match that I have to give it the bell. I want to see this match now. I actually want to see Vikingo and Joe Hendry in a Punjabi prison match. If anybody from WWE Creative is listening, and I know sometimes you are, I want you to at least put this on the whiteboard, okay, for WrestleMania. You can make this happen, or Triple Mania. WrestleMania, Triple Mania, either way. Either way. Either one works. Only Al Bundy could save that. He's in there. I'm in there. Al Bundy is in there. All right, we're going to have a hair match. Oh, boy, the women have a hair match. Someone's getting shaved bald. Ooh. Awesome Kong. You want to be the one to go over and try to cut her hair? I don't want that job. Awesome Kong in a hair match against timeless Toni Storm. Sorry to say, I think Toni is going bald here. You know, she's such a pro that I'm sure she would take one for the team if that's what the promoter wanted, and she would get her head shaved. It would be like a whole new phase now of the timeless Toni Storm character. Are we possibly headed towards a double sweep? It's like a unicorn. It's like a very rare sighting. You don't get to see it very often, but we're only one away. Fight pit. All right, the fight pit. You know what, though? The fight pit really is better as a single stipulation. So here's what we're going to do. I'm making an executive decision here. We're not going to do a tag team match in this round. We're going to go back to the guys, and we're going to have a fight pit match in our main event. That's what we're going to do. I'm making that decision. It just doesn't work if it's a tag team match. I don't like that as a tag team match. Here we go. Oh my God. This is not really what I was expecting here for the fight pit. I'll tell you what we'll do. We landed on Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Now Diesel, in his younger days, used to be a bouncer. So what I'm thinking is Diesel will be the guy who mans the door for the fight pit. It's like if he was a bouncer at a bar somewhere and like in the back room they had like this illegal fight pit thing going on. I feel like he would be the guy guarding the door and letting people in. So we'll make him the guard. How about that? He'll be the bouncer. But I don't want him anywhere inside this fight pit. Because you just go for the leg. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so easy. All right, we got Roosh. Man, Roosh beat the crap out of Jungle Boy once on Dynamite. He can go, man. He can go. He's hurt right now, but Roosh could throw down. I think actually he would probably do well in a fight pit, honestly. With Diesel guarding the door, it is Roosh, the outside enforcer, yes. Roosh, oh my God. Roosh against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Wow. Poor Austin. I don't think that's going to end well for Stone Cold, but it's a hell of a match. I'll tell you how it goes down. Roosh is doing pretty well. But then Diesel gets involved. And he attacks Roosh and jackknifes him and helps Austin get the win. Because, Austin and Nash, they're like this. They're like buddy. And Austin gets the win. You think Austin would mess up Roosh? I don't think so. I think just the opposite. So you think with a bad neck and two bad knees, even like late 90s Austin, you think he could take Roosh in a fight pit match? I don't know what you're watching. Yeah, with two knee braces. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm putting my money on Roosh. And let me go through some of these member chats here. I think there might only be one here. B Punk, 9 months of membership. You need to ask JD, why is Jesse the biggest CM Punk fan? His answer shall bring you joy. Oh yeah, I hear that Jesse is just a huge CM Punk fan. Huge CM Punk fan. Had him over for dinner once, in fact. Yeah, they're all in Chicago over there, so. Happy New Year to everyone. God bless and stay safe. Happy New Year, B Punk. Yes, tomorrow night, over on JD's channel, it is the first annual TNT Year-End Awards. Got about 14 different categories, and we're going to be going through them and giving you our thoughts on the best and worst of 2025, and I'm sure we'll talk some news as well. So that'll be on Tuesday Night Titans, the final TNT of the year, tomorrow night. Episode 127, I believe we're up to. And then, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a good time. You guys got to be here. You guys had to help me make it till midnight. The countdown is on to 2026. And we're going to have some fun. We'll talk Dynamite. Mercedes is putting her TBS title on the line against Willow Nightingale. So that's coming up on Wednesday night. And then we get to ring in a brand new year. And, speaking of memberships, just read that member chat there from B Punk. Don't forget, 'tis the season. If you would like to gift a channel membership, you may do so. I had a whole bunch of gifted memberships in here last week. Alexander with a $4.99. You should get some Mindy's Bakery cupcakes as an ode to Punk. I tried to go to Mindy's the first time I went to Chicago, and I didn't make it. The second time in Chicago, I did make it to Mindy's. Or Mindy's, not Mendy's. I think it's fucking Seinfeld. And I was very disappointed that I did not see any muffins. I don't know if they didn't have them that day, or maybe they had them behind the counter and I didn't see them, but there were no muffins. I was like, how do you go to Mindy's and not have muffins? So I don't plan on going back. But I will be in Chicago on March 6th for House of Glory. Anobi, have yourself a very happy new year. I'm sorry you cannot make it on Wednesday, but you will be missed. But hopefully you can make it on Friday. We have the first 3 hours SmackDown. We'll talk about it. That'll be on Friday. And, of course, next Monday, Big Raw. So come on back for the Raw review. If you missed it, episode 944 of the Sound Off went up yesterday. And a full review for AEW Full Gear. The highs and lows of Full Gear. And top 15 matches of 2025. Put a lot of work into that countdown and ranking everything. A lot of honorable mentions on that list as well. The full thing, like a good hour, talking about the best matches, the must-see matches of 2025. So if you like countdowns, I know a lot of you do, you can go find one on the podcast from yesterday. Roosh against Sheamus in a fight pit. I just wish if Sheamus was a little younger. He's a little beat up now, but a younger Sheamus in the fight pit. I mean, even current Sheamus, but like a younger Sheamus against Roosh in the fight pit would be more of a fair fight. I said Full Gear. I meant World's End. There was no Full Gear review on the podcast. It was a World's End review. Thank you. You know what I meant. Am I covering Wrestle Kingdom? Not live, no. Wrestle Kingdom's on a Sunday this year. And which obviously makes it a little difficult for me because I'm recording a podcast that morning. So my plan is to wake up. I'm not waking up at 2:00 in the morning, but I'll try to wake up a little earlier that morning so I could at least watch the key matches. I want to see Tanahashi's match. I want to see Aaron Wolf's match, and I want to see the Takeshita match, if nothing else. Assuming I could see some or all of those matches that morning, I'll do a quick review of what I see on the Sound Off that day. But at some point, once I watch it, I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to do anything live. But I am looking forward to seeing the Tanahashi and Okada match. Last time ever. So yeah, that's coming up this weekend, actually, this Sunday. All right, be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a great rest of your night, rest of your week. Happy New Year. And come on back Wednesday night for the New Year's Eve stream, and we will make it till midnight. Until then, take care, guys.